What's up, beautiful babies? We are in week 12. We're moving into week 12 of the Madden curse. We're going to do our week 11 recap, updated rankings, and then go straight into the week 12 matchups. It's the Turkey Bowl matchups. It's Thanksgiving. Hopefully, everyone's got a nice plate to look forward to later. Um, and take some time, relax, put your feet up, smoke a big fat doobie, take a few shots to the head, feel good, watch some football, fall asleep with your pants off. The good stuff. All right, let's get straight to this because I got a turkey to make. Shout out to all my kings that got to make turkeys today. You know what I'm saying? I'll send pics later. It's just gonna be thick. Um, let's just let's just go look at the freaking matchups from last week. Yeah, there was a team in the league that was undefeated. They started off 10 and 0. They had a hell of a run. They even had a hell of a great chance to win this last matchup, but things didn't work out that way. I lost to Trent 91 to 96. Um, Trent beat me starting Zach Wilson. Um, who Zach Wilson didn't finish that game. He put up 7 points. Rashad White put up 20. Brian Robinson put up 24. Cooper Kupp put up 2. So Cooper Kupp got hurt as well. This was a very weird game. We'll go through it. Kupp got hurt. Jalen Waddle had 9.5. Chiggy Okonkwo had 1.5. Jamar Chase had 9.2. He had his quarterback got hurt, and then he didn't have anything until the very end of the game. He had a late last minute touchdown, which hey, if he hadn't had that, I would have won. But when you put up 91 points, you don't really deserve to win. So not really dwelling on that. On his bench, he had Khalil Shakir with 20 points, and you're not going to start those over any of the wide receivers Trent had in his lineup. So on my side, I had Joe Burrow, who had 9 points in a season-ending. I think it was a knee injury. Um, he's on the IR right now. Trent's got Kirk Cousins on IR, so I figure I'll put Joe Burrow on IR. They'll ride together. Um, I had Devon Achane in my starting lineup. This was his first week back. They were saying he was going to be ready to go. Probably could have played the week before if it wasn't a bye. He gets hurt on like his first carry. He's got 2 points. Now he's questionable this week, so we'll see what happens there. Josh Jacobs, a stinker as well, 10 points. Amon St. Brown, he never lets me down, 22 points. AJ Brown, 1.8. He was the last guy playing Monday night. I was down by 5 points, 5.5 points to Trent. You're down 5.5, and you got AJ Brown left. You usually feel pretty good about those odds, but this time he came through with 1.8. Next week I'm sure he'll have 35. Sam Laporta with 7. Brees Hall with 21 points. On my bench, Devin Singletary scored 25 points. I could have subbed him over Devon Achane and easily got a victory. I didn't. I had a premature. There's no R in Achane's name, and there's no R in ejaculation. So, let's update it. Maybe premature achanulation. I don't know. But where's this R coming from? This is some southern shit. Uh, I did have Kyler Murray scored 22 points. I didn't have him before Joe Burrow got hurt, so he was my swap to not have to start some guy on the Raiders at quarterback or potentially Zach Wilson. So moving forward, hopefully we've got that position locked up. Congratulations to Trent. Trent's 7-4, and I think he's still playing for the bye in his division. I'm 10-1. It was fun. It was good while it lasted. Next matchup, Brent and Dan. Well, let's go to the picks. Pretty sure I picked myself this week too. I rarely ever do, but this week I did. And I was wrong. I picked Brent to beat Dan, and he did 126 to 110. Brent had Sam Howell 18, Aaron Jones with 4. I think Aaron Jones got hurt again. Raheem Mostert with 16. Devontae Adams with 21. Debo Samuel with 9. Logan Thomas with 9. DK Metcalf with 21. And I don't bring him up, but he's got some points here. So Bills defense 21 points. On his bench, Trevor Lawrence 32 points. I drafted Trevor Lawrence. Never in his fucking life did he have 32 points on my team. So he was released. Um, didn't matter for Brent because he got the victory, but Dan side had 24 out of Lamar Jackson, 23 out of James Cook, 7 out of Keaton Mitchell, uh, zero point 0.9 out of Garrett Wilson, 28.9 out of Tank Dell, 6 from Jake Ferguson, and 9 from Trey McBride. So, two tight ends in the starting lineup. It's always a recipe for danger. Um, on his bench, he had Calvin Ridley who had 31 points. Calvin Ridley's been I think it's fair at this point to say he's been a huge bust all season, so I understand why he was on the bench. And then, of course, that's when he has his best game of the season. Zach Charbonnet had 16, 17. Could have started. Yeah, wouldn't have got the victory, so that one doesn't matter. Ridley over one of the tight ends and Charbonnet over Keaton Mitchell could have got the victory, but hey, stuff happens. Dan is 2-9, and I believe he is in sole possession of our most coveted award, the Sacco. We'll find out here in a minute. Brent is 4-7, and I think he's hanging on. He's hanging on by the tiniest of threads for a playoff chance. Uh, I don't think he controls his future. Him winning out does not alone get him in the playoffs. He's got to have some other guys lose. So we'll see as we get closer. Um, Next matchup, JT versus Jason. I think JT had the high score for the week. 155 to Jason's 105. Jason had 17 out of Patrick Mahomes, 8 out of Najee Harris, 15 out of Jerome Ford, Terry McLaurin with 9, Nico Collins with 13 and a half, Travis Kelsey with 15, Javonte Williams with 10, nothing on the bench, and JT 26 from Justin Herbert, 8 from Derrick Henry, 23 from DeAndre Swift, 17 from CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans with 15, Dalton Schultz with 11, Saquon with 33 and a half points there, and so nothing too much on the bench, nothing crazy there. JT 6-5, Jason's 5-6. JT is in the playoff conversation. I think Jason, he might have the 6th seed or pretty close to it. Next matchup, Fat versus Marshall. Oh, on the picks, let's see. So far, I'm 2-1. 2-1 so far. The next matchup was Marshall versus Fat. Let me tell you something, man. My guy Marshall, I wasn't really sure who my lock was this week. I asked the chat. Marshall said, "Give me that shit." And I did. I gave him the lock of the week, and he won 132 to 115. That's fucking king shit. Uh, you know what? And he was projected to lose, which is why this has never happened before. Marshall was the lock of the week and the upset of the week. And by God, Jim Ross voice, by God, it fucking happened. Jalen Hurts with 19. David Montgomery with 21. Joe Mixon with 25. Devonta Smith with 16. DJ Moore with 23. Donald Parham Jr. with 10. Khalil Herbert with 10. Nothing too crazy on the bench. Fat side, 16 out of Dak. 21 out of Tony Pollard and his swan song, I guess that's what you call it. 11 and a half from Madison, also in his swan song. Keenan Allen, 28. Christian Kirk with 8. Mark Andrews with 4. And a season-ending knee injury. Actually, I don't know if it was his knee. I think it was his ankle. And Puka Nakua with 19 points on the bench. Nothing too much there. Um, so Fat has officially blown the team up. Once you see seven L's on your side, that's desperation mode because, like I said, with Brent, he's got seven losses, and technically he's not mathematically eliminated, but I don't think winning out is enough as far as getting you in. You need to win out, and a couple of guys ahead of you need to take a loss, at least a loss. Um, the one thing Fat has in his favor is he does have a good amount of points, which if Brent and Fat were to both win out, Fat's more than likely going to take that tiebreaker because he's ahead by like 300 points or something like that. Um, so we'll see how it goes. Fat did. He finally had enough of Tony Pollard and Alexander Madison. He shipped both of them out for Derrick Henry, which was interesting. And then, if I'm not mistaken, did Fat do another trade? Let's check the league. You know what? Let's finish the matchup. We've got two more matchups, and then let's go check it. I feel in my heart like Fat completed two trades. Um, but it is Thursday morning. I'm a little hot. Them turkey fumes got me. Um, but congratulations to Marshall. Lock of the week, upset of the week. Called his own shot. Fucking legend. And he beat the commish. Who cheats? Don't get no better than that. Jordan versus Alex. I picked Alex to win this matchup. I don't know why, because every time I pick Alex, he hurts me. But he won 128 to 108. He took Jordan down. Um, that's the one solace I guess I can take at my loss, being selfish here. Just thinking for a minute. I'm 10-1. He's 8-3. So losing out, I should still get a bye, and depending on how the points look, still potentially get the number one bye. Which I mean, I don't think it really matters one versus two, but needless to say, we want the one. Justin Fields had 21 points for Alex. Christian McCaffrey 27 points. Travis Etienne 12. Marquise Brown 3. Zay Flowers 8. Dalton Kincaid 11. Jameer Gibbs 23 and a half. Bench wise, nothing. Jordan had Josh Allen with 22 and a half. Isaiah Pacheco with 15. Kenneth Gainwell with 2. Tyreek Hill with 31. Stephon Diggs with 7. TJ Hawkinson with 10. And Jordan Addison in the flex with 7. Bench wise, had a little more points he could have got, but would not have got the victory, so didn't matter there. Alex 6-5, Jordan 8-3, still number one in his division. He's one game away from our our sweet boy Trent. So, Trent, you could win the mother effing division. That's pretty crazy. Last matchup of the week: Scott versus Frank. I picked Scott to win. Frank literally just put up the most points of the week last week, but there was something about Scott's team that spoke to me, and he had one of the highest scores of the week, 137 to 127. CJ Stroud had 15. Jalen freaking Warren had 26 points. Hey Scott, how do you feel about trading Joe Burrow for Jalen Warren now? Probably feeling pretty good if I had to imagine. Um, and you've got CJ Stroud, so I mean, you really Scott didn't lose anything. He got rid of Joe Burrow, who was hurt at the time. Uh, Ended up getting Jalen Warren, who wasn't putting up 26 at the time, but had a role in the offense. But his roles only increased. Joe Burrow is not playing the rest of this year, and Scott still has C.J. Stroud and Tua. So I think Scott made out like a bandit in that trailer. That's good for him. Um, Ty Chandler has 17 and a half points. Madison, is he done finally? I mean, is this guy fucking. I feel like that's got to be it, right? Knowing this, Madison's going to come back next week and score 20 points or some shit. Amari Cooper had 7. DeAndre Hopkins 16. Evan Ingram 7. Brandon Ayuk in the flex 27. Um, Bench wise, nothing crazy. Frank He had 27 out of Brock Purdy, 10 out of Austin Eckler, 3 out of Kenneth Gainwell, or Kenneth Walker, I should say. JT had Gainwell. Kenneth Walker the third, who also got hurt, might not be playing this week. Brandon Cooks was 7. Trenton Irwin 7. George Kittle 23. Gus Edwards 24. Frank 6-5. Scott 3-8. So Frank's in the playoff bracket. Scott moved out of the tie for the Sacco, so a lot of good things happened there for them. Uh, let's look at the updated standings, the rankings, I should say. In the 12th spot, Dan. He's got the Sacco by himself. He's at the 12th spot. 11, Scott. 10, Fat. 9, Brent. 8, Jason. 7, Marshall. 6, Frank. 5, Alex. 4, JT. 3, Trent. 2, Jordan. 1, Lando. And then let's look at see if we can't find that playoff bracket. And let's see if it doesn't sound like the top 6 players that I just named. Current 6 seed, Frank. Well, we'll look at the matchups. Myself and Jordan are projected to get the buys. The 5 and 4 seed matchup is projected to be Alex versus JT. And the 6 and 3 matchup is projected to be Frank versus Trent. So, interesting matchups there. um, let's go to the transaction counter. Oh no, not counter. If you are interested, you can go see how many transactions you've done for the season. Usually, I'm in the lead on this. We do some mental warfare sometimes with the waiver. I'm at 78. The low is 34. It looks like. But that's not what I was looking for. What I was trying to find was the trades. The trades. The trades, the trades, the trades. So, yes, there was 2 trades. I wasn't crazy. Fat traded Dak Prescott and David Njoku for Brian Robinson to Trent. Trent has been starting Zach Wilson, and I believe his tight end also just got hurt, something like that. Um, I thought this was a great trade for Trent, honestly. Brian Robinson, I saw he's listed top 5 running backs right now. I don't know how that is. I don't know that that's. I don't think he's going to end up top 5. You know, whereas Dak Prescott could be top 5 QB rest of the season. The Joker's been pretty solid. And like I said, the main thing is Trent did not have these players. His quarterback currently was Zach Wilson. I think Derek Carr was the backup. His tight end, I'm pretty sure got hurt, so I don't think he had one. So I think it's a great trade for Trent. Fat, I mean, you got another running back, so that's cool. Um, the other trade that we talked about, Derrick Henry. Fat got Derrick Henry for Madison and Pollard. Um, Standalone, I mean, I would think Derrick Henry, but personally, I don't know. I think Tony Pollard is probably going to have the better. If I had to bet money on who's going to have a better rest of season finish, I'd bet on Tony Pollard. Um, just being the younger guy, and his team's better. I don't think they're going to sit Tony Pollard. Whereas Henry, I don't know what's going on in Tennessee. So, way to get active, Fat. Way to make some moves out there, I guess. Let's look at the matchups for this week. I haven't even looked at these at all. Normally, I do a little pre-prepping and you know, have my picks ready, things like that, fun stuff like that. We do that shit. It's Thanksgiving. I gotta go downstairs and put a turkey in the oven. Let's see. Let me count the dubs from last week. 0-1, 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1. The only fucking pick I got wrong last week was myself. Nice. That's depressing. That is. That hurts. Year to date, though, boys, we're 38 and 22. If you took that shit to Vegas, you'd be a fucking rich man. That's all I'm saying. That's all the fuck I'm saying. Locks. Let's just say locks. We're doing pretty good over here. Okay, we're 7-4, and crying cat face emojis. You know, we're even better. We're better with our upsets than our locks, because that's what we do over here. Okay, now let's do our Week 12 pick'ems. First matchup. It's myself versus Jason. You know what? I just had bad luck picking myself. So I'm going to pick Jason. You know what? He told me he's got it. I'll believe him. Projections are 133 to 129. I've got Kyler Murray versus the Rams, Josh Jacobs versus the Chiefs, Devin Singletary versus the Jaguars. We'll see if Singletary plays. We're praying on it. Amon St. Brown versus Green Bay. A.J. Brown versus Buffalo, who is listed as questionable. Sam Laporta versus Green Bay. Brees Hall versus Miami. By the way, guys, check your lineups because a lot of games are today. There's games on Friday. There's all kinds of shit going on. Jason's got Patrick Mahomes versus the Raiders. Najee Harris versus the Bengals. Jerome Ford versus Denver. Michael Pittman Jr. versus Tampa Bay. Nico Collins Jr. versus Jacksonville. Travis Kelce versus the Raiders. Javonte Williams versus Cleveland. Yeah, Jason, you got it. The next matchup, JT versus Brent. Battle of the homies, as I like to call it. Look, JT's been hot. He's so hot right now. He is. He's not Zoolander. He's Hansel. He's so fucking hot right now. So we're gonna pick with him. He's projected to win 144 to 117. Herbert versus Baltimore. DeAndre Swift is questionable playing Buffalo. Saquon playing the Patriots. CeeDee Lamb versus the Commanders. Mike Evans versus the Colts. Dalton Schultz versus the Jags. Tony Pollard versus the Commanders. Brent side, Sam Howell versus Dallas. Chuba Hubbard versus Tennessee. Raheem Mostert, questionable versus the Jets. Devontae Adams. Got a little parched there. My bad. Devontae Adams versus Chiefs. Deebo Samuel versus the Seahawks. Logan Thomas versus Dallas. DK Metcalf versus the Niners. I think Brent will put up a good fight, but again, he's so hot right now, JT. Next matchup. Oh, I like this one. JT Fat versus Trent. 4-7 versus 7-4. Trent's projected to win 136 to 123. I think Trent's gonna take these new weapons that he just got from Fat, and he's gonna dominate him with it. You know what? I don't know. Let's just fuck it. Trent over Fat. We're gonna go. We're gonna go into the lock of the week again. Lock of the week, the guy that played Fat. Why is that happening? Dak Prescott's playing the Commanders. Rashad White, Colts. Alvin Kamara, the Falcons. Cooper Kupp is questionable playing the Cardinals. Jalen Waddle is playing the Jets. David Njoku playing the Broncos. Jamar Chase versus Pittsburgh. On Fat side, Josh Dobbs playing Chicago. Bijan Robinson versus Saints. Derrick Henry questionable versus the Panthers. Keenan Allen questionable versus the Ravens. Puka Nacua questionable versus the Cardinals. Isaiah Likely at tight end and playing the Chargers, and Brian Robinson playing the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, feel pretty good about that. Let's go, Trent. Get another dub. Next matchup here. Jordan versus Marshall. Projections. Jordan's projected to win 145 to 130. We got Josh Allen versus Philadelphia. Jonathan Taylor versus the Bucks. Isaiah Pacheco versus the Raiders. Tyreek Hill versus the Jets. Tyreek's questionable. Stephon Diggs versus the Eagles. T.J. Hawkinson versus the Bears. And Adam Thielen versus the Titans. On Marshall's side, Jalen Hurts is playing Buffalo. David Montgomery's playing the Packers. Joe Mixon's playing Pittsburgh. Devontae Smith playing Buffalo. DJ Moore playing the Vikings. Johnny Smith playing the Saints. Kyrie Williams looks like he's playing this week, and he's in his flex playing the Cardinals. Let me check something out real quick here. Fuck it. Yep. Marshall, you held it down for us last week, so I'm gonna pick you again, and I'm gonna make you my crying cat face emoji upset of the week again. Um, Keep knocking them down, bro. Keep knocking them down. Next matchup: Scott versus Alex. Scott put up a really nice matchup last week. Alex has three very scary running backs. Um, and I think I'm going to give him the edge here. Alex has Justin Fields versus the Vikings, McCaffrey versus the Seahawks, Travis Etienne versus Houston, Marquise Brown questionable versus the Rams, Zay Flowers versus the Chargers, Dalton Kincaid versus Philadelphia, Jameer Gibbs versus the Packers. On Scott's side, CJ Stroud versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, Jalen Warren versus Cincinnati, Ramondre Stevenson versus the Giants, Cortland Sutton versus Cleveland, DeAndre Hopkins versus the Panthers, Evan Ingram versus Houston, and Brandon Ayuk versus the Seahawks. I think it'll be a good matchup, but yeah, those three running backs they're tough to beat. So I'm gonna roll with Alex, and then on the last matchup, last but not least, Dan's fighting to stay out of that Sacco. He's playing Frank. He's projected to lose 123 to 125, so it'll be close. Frank Scott, Brock Purdy versus Seattle, Austin Eckler versus Baltimore, AJ Dillon questionable versus Detroit, Chris Olave versus Atlanta, Brandon Cooks versus the Commanders, George Kittle versus Seahawks, Gus Edwards versus Chargers. On on Dan's side, Lamar Jackson's playing the Chargers. James Cook versus the Eagles. Charbonnet versus the Niners. Garrett Wilson versus the Dolphins. Tank Dell, missed that guy, versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jake Ferguson versus the Commanders. Calvin Ridley, he's in the lineup versus Houston. Uh, I want to go. I want to pick Dan to get out of the Sacco, but I don't know if this is the week. I don't know if this is the week. Lineup wise, I think I'm leaning Frank. Frank over Dan on that one. Sorry about that, buddy. Uh, those are the picks. Those are the awards. Or well, Fat does the awards. Those are the recap, the rankings, and the picks and predictions. Happy Turkey Day. Y'all get y'all go eat a bourbon. Oh God. Oh, Mama, where my Tums at? Sorry. The pain. The pain. Madden curse. I love y'all.